Shalom. Allah start out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles, and the elders, great millstone, salutations to the fillet that pushing his truth, cause for comes earth, our faith, truth, and sincerity. I'm on the bod back in the sitting. This we're going to about how Esau, which is the so-called white man, or the red man, on Edomite, so-called white people, red people, that's in power right now, rulership, how they, want to get rid of and completely destroy the so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, right? The 12 tribes. They constantly, they constantly are, finding ways to destroy the Israelites, the so-called Negro, Latino natives. Each day, trying to, how can we, get these people out the way, figure out a plan to, come up with a loud deception to where, we can infiltrate and try to get into their neighborhoods and kill them all somehow, either way by disease or some type of unrighteous decree they'll pass to try to come in and put so-called Negro, Latino, Native men in jail, because they got a law set in place. All you can't do is do that, and and kill them off. Have them in jail to where they can't be within the kids' lives, or kill them off, for falsely accusing them for doing something they didn't do. Had them as as a murderer, or charged for murder, which they didn't do. Because you do got so-called Negro Latinos in prison, for crimes they didn't do. They in there for life and until death. So or like I say, they come up with plans to try to just like I say, the unrighteous decrees that come in, just want to try to round up Jake, take him somewhere and kill him off, man. Where it may be, you got the situation with ICE, what they doing with that and so forth. And these Edomites, they just, like I say, man, they just envy, jealous, they hate the so-called Negro, Latinos, natives, because they are the chosen. We are the chosen people. And you got those fake Khazars over there that's in the land of Israel, that, calling themselves the chosen people, which they are not. Those people that's in Israel are not no Khazars. Them imposters over there, man. They are not the chosen people of the Lord. So-called Negro, Latino natives are, which are the Israelites. That's not the true Israel over there, Or that's not the true Israel that's in the land today. Those people are imposters. And like I say, the more the truth get pushed out, the truth is out there. And like I said, the people by now, waking up to knowing who are really the true chosen people of the Lord. You have you have these other nations of people, and like I said, you have these average Joe Edomites. They knowing who the by this truth being out, that's being pushed by the apostles and the elders of Brother Great Millstone. They know who the real children of the Lord is, the Israelites. They know those people. They know those people that in the land of Israel are imposters, fakes. Pretenders, pretend to be, the chosen people of the Lord, and they're not. But we in these times now that they desperate. They want to try to get rid of of the truth, by YouTube, by censoring YouTube and taking away YouTube, or you can't say this or say that, and whatever it may be, and they know that this truth is flourishing, and they can't they can't get away from it. People are realizing that that's the synagogue of Satan. They are not the chosen people of the Lord over there in the land of Israel today. But I'm getting to it. It's on Genesis 27:41. And it's all just from the beginning, starting with Esau and Jacob, But read Genesis 27:41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then when I slay my brother Jacob. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings. So, like I said, the so-called Negro Latino natives, we have the favor, of the Lord Yahushua, we have the gifts of, the things that we have that, the things that so-called Negro Latinos do, we do it the best. We have the flavor, we have the styles, and we have the creativity, the ideas and things that come from, what I'm saying, just being blessed by Lord Yahweh the so-called Negro Latino natives, which are the Israelites. Because Jacob, which name was later changed to Israel, the Israelites are the form of all things. We make things happen. We make things thrive. So-called Negro Latino natives are lively. We are lively, and we bring life into two areas and places, and we bring that we bring that energy, but these other nations, the heathen nations, and these Edomites, man, they ain't got no. They ain't got no style, no creativity about them, no type of real energy or type of lively, spirit about them. They got like a dead spirit, just clumsy. They clumsy, they, uncoordinated. They don't know how to dance, and they ain't got no flavor. They can't cook. They don't, what I'm saying, they don't know how to season their food. They don't know how to really clean themselves for real, because so-called Negro Latino natives, had to, it was a point in time where, the so-called Negro Latino natives had to, teach the Edomite devils, so-called white people, how to clean themselves, and still to this day, these so-called white people, devils, they still be dirty, nasty, wash themselves and so forth, and I say they just, they just wicked, man. As well, they be doing wicked acts and abominable things, that Lord Yahweh hates, and Lord Yahweh hates Esau, the Most High, Yahweh, he hates the Edomites. He hates these devils, man. They the wicked, man. And like I say, it's gonna come a time the Lord Yahweh is gonna destroy the so-called white man devil, Esau, Edomites. He's gonna take them out of power, go into slavery, and after once they done some of their time of slavery, 1,000 years, and they're gonna be done away with. They're gonna get rid of. The Lord Yahweh can get rid of them. But like I said, the so-called white man, Esau, Edomite, they want to, destroy the so-called Negro Latino natives. They want to, do harm and get rid of them because they hate them for what we, we are blessed, we are favored. And the Lord Yahweh, we get, we have what we have within us, that the Edomite so-called white people devils want, but it's not for them, they want to inhabit it. They want to inhabit, these other planets that's out there that the Most High created and so forth. Yahweh, that's out there, but it's not for them. It's for the elect of the so-called Negro, Latino, Israelites, and the nation Israel, but definitely for the elect, first and foremost. That's gonna have, seeing those things of the planets and so forth and more, and that's what they want, but it's not. They can't have it. It ain't for them, But go to Genesis 27:42, and these words of Esau. Read again. And these words Esau, her eldest son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau has touched thee, do confront himself to proposing to kill thee. Yeah, so, Rebekah, told Jacob, which Jacob named later changed Israel, told, hey, your brother Esau, wants to kill you, So like I said, this started way back, way back, time was Genesis, in the beginning, all started, and, and you see today, fast forward to today, you got still Edomite devils, they up in these meetings and so forth. They had to try to get rid of the so-called Negro Latinos, by, like I say, they could put poison, in something in your medicine, food, which they doing now, on the water, in your communities, and trying to kill off Jake. And they wondering why it's not happening enough, or or it's not prospering like they want to, because Lord Yahweh is with the so-called Negro Latinos, but with the elect, in these times right now, because 2/3 Israelites, they just rebellious and wicked. They doing wicked things that the Lord Yahweh hates. But for us, the elect, Lord Yahweh is gonna have mercy and protect his elect from the Edomite devils, what they have planned, and what they trying to do to try to kill off Jake, the so-called Negro Latino Native Israelites. Go to the next verse. Genesis 27:43. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise and flee, thou to Laban, my brother to Haran. So yeah, so Rebecca, is telling Jacob, to flee, because Esau, so-called white man, red man today, trying to kill, try to kill Jacob. Which name would later change Israel. But go from there to if I don't get a precept, let me see. Yeah, let me get this precept real quick. So I'll get this precept. So I'm gonna get this precept real quick. Psalms 55:1. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were salted oil, yet his words were salted the oil, yet were they drawing swords. So the so-called white man Esau Edomites, these devils, they'll talk smooth to you, and tell you, convince you that hey, to take a, to take the thing, I can't even say the word. To take the, in 2020, everybody know what I'm talking about, the vid, if you want, you know what I'm talking about, or whatever it may be, to say, hey, it's healthy for you, it's gonna protect you, whatever it may be. Right. But in the back of their mind, they know that what they have in that needle, what's in that needle, what's in that a syringe, or you want to say, it's going to um it's gonna kill you over time, so sooner or later, you know. So like saying the back of them, because when it say but war was in their heart, it means the word heart goes to the Hebrew word lob, it means your mind. So in their mind, Esau, Edom, so-called white people devils, in their mind they want to kill you. They want to make war with you, kill you, get rid of you. Get rid of you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Israelites. So you got to be mindful that these so-called white people, devil Edomites, they might smile. They'll smile in your face, and say, "Hey, buddy," and all that, talking all that nice stuff in your face. But in the back of the mind, I want to kill you, man. I want to get rid of you, man. So you gotta be mindful. Hey, that's your enemy. You can't trust your enemy what they tell you, or whatever, a proposal, a gift, or whatever it may be they have for you, and they lawyer, excuse me, they'll trap you, in that situation, or lure you into a place that you don't want to be, and get caught up in a situation you don't want to be in, because you trust in them. You thought that, hey, man, the white man, hey, he's saying some good things. The so-called white man, red man, saying some good things, and I trust him. I want to see what he's talking about, or I take the vid, I take what's in the vid, I take what's in that, what's in that syringe or needle, whatever. It's, it makes me healthy, protect me from the vid and whatever else, But all in all, they know what's in that syringe needle that will put you, to death, eventually, sooner or later, But so I'm gonna go from there to it says Psalms 83:2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Go to where tumult means, making, rage and war, a whole bunch of noise, rage and war, trying to come at the so-called Negro, Latino, Israelites, like I say, just trying to come up with a lot of deception to try to come at the Israelites, and kill them off. But this verse, or what it may be, they try, like I say, kill them off, destroy Israel, keep them down, from from doing anything, good, put on their resources and money and to try to keep so-called Negro, Latino natives from, not to come to their senses of who they are, who their power is, but by this truth of the word that the apostles of Elzenberg Great Men start pushing on the internet, by way of the internet, it's all about the elect. In these times, the elect is going to wake up to the truth and the word of the Lord Yahweh Shai and is going to follow his ways and believe in him until the end, but 2/3 that don't believe and, don't believe what the apostles, Ellsberg, Brother Great Millstone say or teach, they're going to be, destroyed, because they're going to follow the ways of Esau in this world, They're going to believe and be engulfed in the lies and deception of the world, which eventually is going to destroy them. Going to destroy 2/3 Israelites. But on this verse, Psalms 83:3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. So they're taking crafty counsel, like I said earlier. Every day they're trying to figure out how can we keep these people down? How can we keep the so-called Negro Latinos, in a bind and in poverty, and from trying to, thrive and move up in this world, in this society, keep them as slaves, or, and they want to put you back in change. They want to put you so-called Negroes back into, in change and whip you and, have you wake up early in the morning, pick cotton, all this crazy shit, and they want to, do all kind of, things, and rape and, butt break you, that they was doing that in the time of slavery, but we ain't in those times no more. They want what they want. They want to go back to those times and have you so-called Negro Latinos back in, in chains and whip you and hang you and uh, and cut off your rod, or just do just heinous acts to you, and just do all kind of crazy things to you, man. And you still got those hangings going on today. They gonna deny, say, oh, it was suicide. You still got hangings going on, especially in the South. In the South, it really, I say, from where I'm from here, I've been hangings going on in the East Coast, North Carolina, I think it's a situation in New York that happened. Oh, this still going on. It was that happened, I saw some of the situation where they was trying to it was some people that caught these white boys trying to hang a Jake a black male, a Negro in New York, but they caught him and they took him down for he died. So they still got that going on. So that we in those times, hey, these so-called white people Edomites, they go, they still got that hate for you so-called Negro Latin natives, man. I say don't get friendly with the Edomite so-called white people, red people. You better know that's your enemy and get the hell away. Before they do something to you, come up missing. But like I say, these elites, fake Khazars, fake people that's in the land of Israel, them Khazars, these elites, these bankers and so forth, the ones that's in control of this world, the Edomite so-called white people, that Edomite devils, and these the other nations as well, trying to keep the so-called Negro Latin natives, down, from trying to make an uprising, and keep them in a docile state, or whatever it may be, but only the elect is waking up, and 2/3 is just gonna stay in the darkness of the world and be lost until, the Lord Yahweh Shai bring great judgment down upon America, Babylon the Great. But like I say, and they consulting against the hidden ones. Like I say, the Lord Apostle Ellsberg and Mr. That's true. They're trying to, like I said, they're trying to stop the word of the Lord Yahweh Shai. They're trying to stop the word of the Lord. They're trying to stop the Apostle Ellsberg and Mr. teaching the word by, I say, censoring the YouTube or taking videos down. Brothers might get threats. You never know, how that, brothers might gotten threats from people trying to tell them to stop teaching the word, whatever it may be. But hey, it ain't gonna work, because the Lord Yahweh Shai, because Lord Yahweh Shai is with the elect. He with the men of the Lord Apostle Ellsberg and Mr. Have truth. Ain't no harm come to his anointed that's teaching his word, that's pushing his word, his truth. And prophesying the downfall of the so-called white man Esau Edomite's world, and America, Babylon the Great. It's gonna be destroyed. It's gonna be destroyed by Lord Yahweh Shai. And nothing y'all can do about it. It's gonna happen. Y'all gonna make war and come at the men of the Lord, the elect, the chosen people of the Lord Yahweh Shai, the elect. But it's all said and done, y'all not gonna prevail. Y'all plans, while you have, it might have a little effect of some type of little prosper there, but it's not gonna fully come about like you want to. Cause the Lord Yahweh Shai gonna return. Lord Yahweh Shai gonna return and destroy you Edomites, man. You gonna rain down them damn missiles and laser beams from chariots, so-called UFO, and burn America, Babylon Great up in different other countries as well. And zapping those that ain't of the righteous number of the elect. But Psalms 83-84, they had said, "Come and let us cut them off of being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance." So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to cut so-called Negro Latin natives from being a nation. Like I said, they got a situation where I say, they put stuff in the neighborhood They set up the set up the uh, they set up the drug. They push the drugs in the neighborhoods. You know, because how do the drugs even get into the neighborhoods? So they set up they push the drugs in the neighborhoods into Jake neighborhoods, so-called Negro Latino neighbors, so-called Negro Latino neighborhoods. They push the drugs and the guns in the neighborhoods, and then they watch what happens. The killing and seeing our people seeing the so-called Negro Latinos strung out on these drugs and stuff, and their mind is lost, and I say they can't go nowhere. They in poverty, and they in a situation where they got to deal with these low budget paying jobs, and they constantly pushing like bad food, all this grease and the greasy foods that's restaurants. They don't have no healthy options in the neighborhoods of Jake. Everything is grease and and it's full of grease and unhealthy foods in Jake's neighborhood, so-called Negro Latino natives neighborhoods. You go to these Edomite neighborhoods. It's healthy options and fruit bars and stuff like that, and smoothies and all that stuff like stuff that's healthy for you. Up to they had the good stuff, the good meats and stuff like that. While Jake, had the bad meats and stuff in their neighborhoods and stuff like that ain't good for them. And eventually, over time, it's not good for their health, and it kills them. They start having health problems, being on dialysis and this and that, and high diabetes, high blood pressure. Because of the foods that's in the neighborhoods that they push within Jake neighborhoods. There's nothing healthy. Especially in commercials and so forth. Within the school system, the system, and don't teach Jake shit right. It's ass backwards, right? But it's all by design. By these, like I say, there's these Khazars, these bankers, these elites that they come up with these plans to keep so-called Negro Latinos down and not knowing the truth who they are according to the Bible. But we in the times where there's no excuse to not know that you so-called Negro Latinos, are the Israelites. Not this truth is out here, and know who the enemy is. Know that the so-called white man Esau Edomite is the enemy. He hates you. He wants you dead. He wants you destroyed, completely out the way. Because they're gonna come down with that great wrath with the military, troops, and come through the neighborhoods and just come in and just take you out your houses and throw you in concentration camps, and put you in some type of abandoned warehouse where it may be, and chop your head off, and especially you don't comply to what they want you to do, But like saying all they want you to, they want mostly so-called Negro Latino Native Israelites killed, man. And if you do take the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, you're gonna be destroyed anyway by the Lord of Hashem Shah. You give into the hour of temptation, until the Edomite devils when that time comes, Because I say their time is short. They ain't gonna play around. They're gonna, they have an agenda, and they're gonna eventually they're gonna push it, But Psalms 83 and 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So like I said, they they're gonna make a wage in war with the Most High Yahweh Shai, the children of Israel, the Israelites, and they don't care, but they don't know. Hey, you come against his chosen, his elect, of the Israelites. Hey, it's gonna be you. Hey, now hey, you gonna have the Most High Yahweh Shai attention. He touches anointed. Hey, you put hands on his anointed, and and do wrong by his anointed, he's gonna come down with great wrath upon you, Edomite doubles, man. but here's the but Psalms 83 says the tabernacles of Edom. These are the nations that that be in those meetings and those UN meetings, those summits and stuff like that. And they be they find ways to try to you don't know what they fully talking about, but just know they ain't there talking about how to keep the so-called Negro Latinos down. Keep them in in poverty, or try to destroy kill off the so-called Negro Latinos, which are the Israelites. So the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebel, Amalek, the Philistines, and with the inhabitants of Tyre. So Ashur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah. So so all these other nations, man, they want to keep the so-called Negro Latinos down, man. They want to destroy the Israelites, but it's not gonna work. Know how many plans they try to come up with, it's not gonna work, man. It's not gonna work. You're not gonna fully, you so-called Edomites, so-called devil Edomites, you other nations, y'all plans are not gonna fully come up. It's not gonna fully prosper. It might prosper a little bit. It ain't gonna fully prosper, man, like you wanted to, because y'all know that's a higher power at work. You see what y'all trying to do. He knows everything. You can't outsmart the Most High Yahweh. You can't smart the Lord Yahweh Shashai. You can't outsmart him, man. So, but just know, like I say, you Edomites, other nations, you trying to make war with the Lord Yahweh Shashai, you ain't gonna win that battle. So I'll go from there because I don't want to make this too long. Psalms 21:1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? So I say these heathen rage and they, and get mad because whatever plan they have, they want the so-called Negro Latinos, done away with, and imagine a vain thing. They're trying to come up with a crazy, mad plan, and it's gonna fail. It's not gonna work for them like they want to. They might have a plan to put something within the neighborhood, like say pores and whatever it may be, right? But it's not fully working. It's not killing so-called Negro Latino natives off. It's like, why it's not working? Why it's not killing them off? Well, it may be, why isn't there not enough killing in their neighborhoods? And like that's in the movie the first one, the first Purge. The movie The First Purge just shows you that, they wanted the killings. They wanted the killings in I think it was a Coney Island. Coney Island. You look at the movie, it was mostly Jakes in those neighborhoods, so-called Negro Latinos, and they wanted Jake dead, and they wanted, like, with the Purge thing, they wanted to see they'll just go crazy and kill each other. It wasn't working. So they infiltrated and put their militia groups in there with masks on, and have go within those Jake neighborhoods and kill off Jake, and have the militia go into buildings and church buildings and kill them and shoot them down. And this what they want, But that they want the so-called Negro Latinos to kill each other so much and kill each other off, that they ain't gotta deal with it, But eventually they got to step in and do it, But like I said, it's gonna come a point. Like I said, the scripture going to the when they're gonna be like madman sparing none. Martial arts troops coming in, they're gonna be coming, taking Jace out of the house, kill him in the house, and kill him on the street, whatever it may be. They don't comply to what they want you to do, whatever it may be, right? Or they just want you dead, But only the elect of the so-called Negro Latino natives gonna be protected and escape that situation. Hopefully I'm part of Rasha number to escape the wrath and judgment, Lord Yahweh Shai. But it's gonna happen. Eventually it's gonna happen. But Psalms 2:2. The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh Shai, and against his anointing, saying, Psalms 2:3, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. So they don't want nothing to do with the so-called Negro Latinos. They don't want nothing to do with the word of the Lord, to be governed by the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shai, the truth. I don't want to deal with none of that, I don't want to deal with that. So they're like, nah, we don't, fuck all that, Forget all that, we don't want to deal with what they talking about, or whatever, what I'm saying? We want to get rid of them, we don't want no parts of it, of what, being, having respect for them or what it may be like, having, respect for the so-called Negro Latinos or, the men, Lord, that push the truth word, Lord Yahweh Shai, that teach the word. They don't like, nah, we gotta, we ain't even deal with that, because salvation is not for the so-called salvation is not for the Edomites, so-called white people, red people. They they know the truth when it come out. They know that salvation is not for the so-called white people, red people, Edomites. It's only for the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Israelites. It's not for the Edomites, so-called white people, red people. It's not for them. So you don't want to deal with it. You want to get rid of a people. You don't want to be associated or anything with people that hey, they gonna uprise and try to come get you and kill you off. Because they wait fully wake up. If Israel, so-called Negro, Latino, so-called Negroes and Latino nations fully wake up, hey, the so-called white man, Edomite, red people, devils are enemy. He gonna be, they gonna get chased out, man. Get chased out of this earth, man. They gonna get chased out and kicked off. Jake Ray rise up, and go to, get at the Edomite devils, man. But they know, like, hey, we can't have that. We gotta get rid of the Edomites. Gotta get rid of these Israelites. Because the Bible, is not for them. Salvation is not for the so-called white people, Edomite devils. But Psalms 2:4, he that sitteth in the heaven shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. So Lord Yahweh Shai gonna laugh at these devils, man, for what they're trying to do. Trying to come against the so-called Negro Latino natives, they elect, trying to come against the Lord Yahweh Shai. Edomite devils are, wicked. They are the wicked. They do things that the Lord Yahweh Shai hates. They're doing a lot of wicked acts and wicked things that we don't see fully. But the Most High, Lord Yahweh Shai, see what they do. And, he's angry every day with the wicked. Scripture go into that. And, eventually, like I said, Lord Yahweh Shai going to bring down his hammer, his great wrath on the Edomite devils, so-called white people devils, But, Psalms 2:5, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. So, yeah, Most High Yahweh Shai going to come down with his great wrath on the Edomite devils, man. Like I said, man, and he ain't gonna have no mercy on these Edomite devils, man. But go from there to Nahum 1:9. So I'm gonna read the New Living Translation, and it says, "Why are you scheming against the Lord?" Lord, read it again. Why are you scheming against the Lord Yahweh Shai? He will destroy you with one blow. He won't need to strike twice. So, so you so-called white people, Edomite devils, why you trying to scheme against the Lord Yahweh Shai, man? And you other nations, man, you align with Esau, trying to combat the apostles, Elzebub, Mr. Miller, Lord, to have the truth, the teacher of the Lord Yahweh Shai, doing things that the Lord Yahweh Shai hates, you being you being blasphemous. You mocking the Lord, your Lord Yahweh Shai. You going to try to rage war the Lord Yahweh Shai. But hey, just know that he said, I will destroy you with one blow. He won't need to strike twice. So the Lord Yahweh Shai, he ain't gonna miss. Hey, he ain't gonna miss. He ain't gonna miss his one shot. His chance is one shot to knock you down, to kill you off, to get rid of you, to bring you down. You Edomite devils, to bring you out of power seat, to bring your kingdom down, to destroy this wicked place, America, Babylon the Great, and other places as well, other countries as well. He ain't got to strike twice. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come one blow, it ain't gonna take long. It ain't gonna take long to destroy you Edomite devils, America, Babylon the Great. To burn everything over here. The laser beams of the chariots, and they'll say the thermonuclear missiles are gonna be shot towards America, Babylon the Great. That Lord Yahweh Shai, he holding the four winds, which are the missiles. He holding the four winds for being shot towards America, Babylon the Great, because he in control. Because it was at points where those missiles about to be launched here, to America, Babylon the Great, but the Lord Yahweh Shai stopped that. Because there ain't time yet until the prophecies of the word of the Lord about to be fulfilled, and the elect of the so-called Negro Latino be sealed by the word, his truth, and repent, and walk in the favor of the Lord Yahweh Shai, until his return and be delivered. So, but hey, like I said, Lord Yahweh Shai, he ain't gonna strike twice. He ain't gonna need to strike twice. One blow, one hit, is over with. It's out of there, you know what I'm saying? Just like, like a boxer, you know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson in the ring with a guy, whatever Mike Tyson, whatever it may be, and then they just need that one hit and one blow, boom, and one knockout. You see it? Boom, it's over with, game over. It's over with, man. So that's what's coming to Edomite double so-called white people, man. Keep playing. You mess around the Lord Yahweh Shai, his anointed and people. Hey, you gonna find out. That there's a higher power that is to be feared and taken seriously and not to be played with. But I won't make this too long, so hurry up and off Job 20:22. In the fullness of his so I can read again. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So I say the bankers, the elites, they're gonna be in straits, man. They in straits now, trying to, get their NWO agenda going and this and that, but they keep running to goddamn, just a situation where they can't do it, or they keep running to these roadblocks, whatever it may be, and stopping them. That's the Lord Yahweh Shai. Hey, you ain't finna go this far with your wicked agenda, new world order agenda. Job 20:23, when he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fear of his wrath upon him, and shall rain upon him while he is eating. So when you eat my devils, so-called white people, the elites, the bankers and so forth, when they about to fill their belly, when they think that, hey, okay, we got something going on with our agenda, it's moving, it's going, it's something, we almost there. We fully, in their mind, they think that, hey, we finna have this completed, agenda, our NWO agenda. Lord Yahweh Shai going, bring that wrath upon down the so-called white people, Edomites' head. By chariots, so-called UFO laser beam, and the thermonuclear missiles, that's gonna rain down on America, Babylon Great, and other countries as well, So, so I ain't want to make this too long. I won't go into that. So, hey, we in those times, hey, you Edomite devil, so-called white people, You know, they want to, kill off you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Israelites, but they ain't gonna fully do it, man. They NWO agenda, what they have planned is not gonna fully come to be, because Lord Yahweh, he gonna make his return, and he gonna put these devil down, put these so-called white people, put these so-called white people, red people, Edomites out of power, man. Eventually, and they're gonna destroy them. When they sitting up on high, everything's good, and boom, the Most High Lord Yahweh bring them down hard, man, with his great wrath and anger and destruction upon down Esau Edom's, this wicked rulership kingdom, that the Edomites are in power right now, but soon, soon in the near future, not too far off, hopefully, it's coming, it's gonna come upon the Edomites, man. They're not gonna fully, get away with what they doing, to the earth and to the Lord's chosen people, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Israelites, and he's not gonna let his elect be, his anointed be, touched or put into a situation or being killed, or being destroyed. So, because Lord Yahweh Shai gonna protect his elect, until he returns, But with that, I want to make it too long. So again, I like God praise and glory. I like God praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash, to the apostle elders, to the Sisakan brothers, to the few Aqua sisters that do listen, keep the faith, and Yahushua keep fighting. That's it, Shalom.